What's going on, everyone? This is Sheets, and we are going to do the early lineup build and look at the NBA slate for this evening. We're going to take care of all this within about 25 minutes, and we're going to go through kind of the whole process for both DraftKings and FanDuel, and it shouldn't take more than 25 minutes, honestly. First, we'll take a look at the breakdown of the slate. DraftKings, you do have... It's a very, very handy slate, right? You have 2 7 o'clock, 7:30 game, and then 5 8 o'clocks, obviously Eastern time. And FanDuel, we tack on a couple of others. You tack on the Lakers, Denver, as well as Toronto, Utah, and Sacramento, Phoenix. Now, overall, I'm going to be surprised if we don't see a lot of this Cleveland game in our optimals. It's a huge over-under, and specifically the Cleveland side looks pretty, pretty fairly priced, let's put it that way. I mean, you get a good projection on Evan Mobley with respect to his price, with his salary. You get a good projection on Jared Allen with respect to his salary. So the Cleveland guys are going to look pretty good in this big total. And the other real standout value you're going to see on the slate, both DraftKings and FanDuel, is going to come from the Philly game, that being of Jared Butler. Sorry about that. Jared Butler on DraftKings, I'm just looking at it. I mean, just on points per dollar, he's almost 7x at 4,600. So he's going to... Listen, things can change throughout the course of the day, but Jared Butler is a clear value on the DraftKings slate. And then on FanDuel, it's very similar. Look at my FanDuel sheets here. We have 6.4x on FanDuel, which doesn't happen too often. And as you'll see, 42% ownership. But in FanDuel, you see another guy kind of pop up in one of the games that doesn't exist on the DraftKings slate, and that's Jordan Goodwin for the Lakers. I have him at 47% ownership. That seems a little bit high, but still, 4,200. It's very, very cheap. Okay, so that's what we're going to expect to see. Probably a lot of Cleveland, probably a lot of Jared Butler, if not 100% Jared Butler. And everything else. So the way we do this is we're going to pretend that we're building right at lock. But what we haven't done yet is something that I have to do at about this time. And that's upload kind of my dummy lineups to what I'm going to play into the SaberSim entry editor. So the way we do that is we click on this contest field. I don't know why this is doing this. You hit upload entries and then download entries from DraftKings. And then presuming you did save dummy lineups in there, we'll upload it here. And what that's going to do is it's going to save the contest data of the tournaments that you're playing, so that when you run your contest sims, it's going to have all this information ready to go. Let's do FanDuel as well. Again, it's one extra step in FanDuel to upload your dummy lineups. You'll see, first of all, let's get rid of that again. So upload entries. Now we download it from FanDuel, but remember DraftKings, it automatically downloaded the file. Here you have to actually go in there and save the CSV to somewhere on your computer. And then we upload this right to here. Okay, so now we're kind of set to do what we want to do. And it's a matter of putting the projections into the system here. So you could use the regular SaberSim projections, or you could use mine, or you can use Goldie's, or whatever you want. I'm going to show you how it's going to look with my projections as of right now. And again, they're going to change dramatically throughout the course of the day, I imagine. But again, it's process over results, right? So let's just see how we're going to do this. So let's upload these just to see. We'll upload the current projection to DraftKings. That's just the way I call it, the file name that I give it. Click on listed players. I don't worry about automatically creating custom fields from ownerships anymore. For basketball, I'm just confident that I can't do as good of a job as SaberSim can in creating these fields. So I just leave this for now. I'm not going to play these in the showdown slate, so I don't have to apply to all slates. We'll just hit save. And then we will build 5,000 lineups with these default minimums. And again, for those of you that are watching this for the first time, or a few times, you'll see that I put a lot of faith into the tools that I have at my disposal. I don't really try to override the algorithms much, if at all. And it's a tough thing to buy into, because it's only fair that we're human beings and we'd like to think that we're smarter than we are at times. But I rely on the confidence that I have in the people that make these tools. So I don't really make too many changes at this point. So we built our 5,000 lineups, and just in case anybody cares what that's going to look like right now, before we win any contest sims is, as I mentioned, Jared Butler about 100%. Evan Mobley, I mentioned, Ty Jerome, Jared Allen. Now, one of the reasons why, by the way, Ty Jerome is showing up so heavy is because we're projecting at 0% ownership right now. That's obviously going to change. And then my hero, Devin Vassell, Chris Paul, Daquan Jeffries from that Charlotte game. Wow. 46%. So this is what we'd be getting in our lineups if we didn't do any contest simming, but we're going to. So let's just hit this button here, run contest sim. And what it's doing ostensibly is, or allegedly, is comparing the 5,000 lineups we've created with the fields that SaberSim believes are going to be representative of what people actually play. And it's going to simulate the results of our lineups against those competitors and rank these by ROI, which is what we're doing right now. So what we could do, again, is just upload these like this, and you'll see, again, Ty Jerome at about 90%, because when you presume he's going to have 0% ownership, it's just going to show up as an amazing play, right? Just because of the way leverage works. I imagine that Ty Jerome is going to get a better ownership projection. It's not so easy. You can't have a good point projection and no ownership projection. It just doesn't work that way. So that's going to obviously moderate somewhat. So I could put them up here just like this, but one thing you can do is make sure that you get more minimum uniques in each of your lineups. So instead of going one min unique, we can go say min uniques 2, and just make sure that when you do that, it doesn't affect the average projection of the lineup here that I have my mouse over too much. Yeah, so it only went down a couple of points, not even when we went to min uniques 3. When you go to min uniques 4, it crashed. So let's go back to min uniques 3. And now we can go ahead and directly fill our lineups into the contests based on the contest sims. But the other thing you could do is you could go to autofill, and what that's going to do, it's a little different. What that's going to do is make sure that you don't put the same lineup in multiple contests. So to do that, you have to prioritize which contest is going to get a lineup that would have appeared in all three of them. So what I like to do is sort these by fee, like how much it costs to enter the contest, because this is the one I'd be more concerned about, that one particular lineup. So I'll put the alley-oop at the top. So then when we save it this way, it's going to sim everything against the alley-oop, give me my best lineup there, then take that lineup out of the pool, and then resim everything for the splash, put the best lineups here, and go, again, take that out of the pool, and then go for the fadeaway. To me, it doesn't matter whether it's 20 max or whatever it is, as long as my overall portfolio is not impacted by going as many uniques as I can. I'm going to go as many uniques as I can. So, okay. So I clicked autofill, and we just hit save to contest, and you'll see it just goes boom, saved it to 3 contests. We hit this button and upload to CSV. And then we roll. Now, the one thing that you see that I did not do, first of all, I did not put any minimum or maximum exposures of any players. And I am very dogmatic about that. I mean, for me, if I have the faith in my inputs, I shouldn't be messing with the outputs. So if I like my projections and I like the lineup builders and the contest sims, why should I reduce or increase exposure just because? You know what I mean? Like, I have to rely on my processes. And if sometimes I get 100% of a guy that I would think I would only get 30 of, then that's just the way it is. And if sometimes I get only 12% of a guy that I think I want 50% of, that's just the way it is. And that's just the way I feel about, these types of markets. You have a good system, you have a good process. Don't let your biases of the outputs interfere with any of that. Okay, let's. If you want to see what the exposure would be, again, right now it'd be 92% Ty Jerome, but I do feel as though I'll be getting less of him as the day goes on because his ownership projection is going to rise. Castle and Vassell, listen, I didn't expect going in to get these guys, but who am I to expect anything? I see the projections. I figured that maybe these guys would be okay, but I thought there'd be more of these Clevelands, but this is the way it is. Okay, let's go back and do the same thing for FanDuel. And I'd be very curious to see if Jordan Goodwin kind of slips into the mix more so here. If he makes Jared Butler not like the big, huge value. But let's see. We saved our contests. And then let's upload to CSV. And then put this here. And again, we don't need to make our custom fields. And we'll build our 5,000 lineups with the default SaberSim, recommended settings. I'm expecting to see, pretty similar stuff. But maybe you know what? Maybe you can get Jokic in your lineups in the Denver game. That's going to, I think that's going to be the case. I think we're going to probably get a lot of lineups with Butler and Jokic in them, because Butler, again, he's only 600 over here. So let's just take a look. Let's see what we would get without doing anything. Without even simming it. And wow, not what I would think. Almost no Jokic. Wow, crazy. Again, it shows what I know. But 85% Evan Mobley would be, I don't know. I'm not sure. Is Roden out? Was he always out? I don't know. All that kind of stuff is factored into the projections already. And if in fact the projections were based on there being Roden and now there's no Roden, then it's going to obviously impact that. Let's just see, by the way, let's see what we have for him. Yeah, so we do have Roden as out. It looks like. Let's see. Yeah, we do have Roden as out. Let me see what the minute projections look like. I guess. Looks like Lawson 28, Barrett 29. It seems to be pretty spread out. Scotty Barnes 27. Maybe these will change throughout the course of the day. But I didn't see us getting too much of Toronto. I'm getting 21% Lawson, 11% Orlando Robinson. Really not a big deal. But let's see what happens. I don't know. Let's run the contest sims and see if we get more of it. Boy, this is one weird one weird situation. You got Toronto missing guys. You got Utah missing guys. Barrett Kessler late night stack. Sure, let's go. Why not? I got no problem with that. There's Butler right there. Butler, Jerome, Goodwin. See, these are just the differences. Here we get to Jordan Goodwin in, as I mentioned. And then these Toronto guys like Orlando Robinson, for example. So like Orlando Robinson, we ran the contest sims, we're getting about 31% of him. So again, the lineup construction is going to be dependent on how good your ownership projections are. So that's why you really have to like wait as long as possible to build your lineups, because you want to get the most recent, not only point projections, but ownership projections, because that is going to affect the results of your contest sims as well. So again, same question is how many min uniques do we do? Well, it's interesting. So on FanDuel, I am playing the lottery over there, like 150 in the $5 tournament. So I have no problem just jacking up these min uniques here. So it goes to min uniques 2. Let's see how that affects the average projection. Like not at all. Go to min uniques 3. I mean, it didn't even go down a point. Min uniques 4. I mean, not much. So you can go min uniques 4 or even more. But let's keep it min uniques 4 for now. But actually, just to see, let's go. Let's go to min uniques 5 and let's see what that does. Yeah, so it crashed there. So let's go to min uniques 4, and that's going to be our, that's going to be our squeal point, so to speak. And then we'll go to autofill again. And we'll do the same thing. We'll prioritize the monster up at the top of this list. And then we're going to run the contest sims so that first it sims it against the monster, takes that one best lineup that sims the best against that contest out. Then it's going to resim everything against the shot, and then going to put the best 150 ROI over there. Same answer, Danny. I again, I would just take your average projection and just go as many min uniques as you can without it severely impacting it. That would be my advice. And let's hit save to contests. Download these. And then up we go. So that is really the exact process that I would do if the lineups were to, if the slate were to lock right now. So while we do have a minute, a couple of minutes, let's take a look at the projections to again, I don't show this too often here, but just to give everybody an idea of what I'm looking at here. So for DraftKings, if I sort by point per dollar, I mean, you'll see how much of a standout Jared Butler is. And all these guys that I mentioned that we have such high ownership to, I mean, are just the highest point per dollar plays. And that's and unfortunately the NBA is a very chalky sport. You can't, it's a very projectable sport, which means you can't get too crazy going off the board. Another way to look at the slate is instead of by point per dollar, you look at Sheets value score metric here. which prioritizes raw points a little more. And once again, you see, Evan Mobley right at the top of the list. So I guess what this is to say is that Evan Mobley is probably the guy you really want to make sure that you have. I don't know if I'm going to put anything on Stakings tonight. I have to see, because here's the thing, Chris, with the NBA, and Stakings. I mean, unless I can be around and do late swapping, I really don't feel I'm playing my best. I just don't think it's fair, to put that up if I'm not going to be playing my best. So I have to see if I'm going to do it at all. So I'll deal with this. This is actually an interesting question, OS. He's saying FanDuel optimal lineup does not have Allen but Mobley. Okay, so optimal lineup. Now, I presume that you're talking about for cash. So just like what the most likely lineup is, what you do is check this out. So you go back to this 5,000 lineup set, and you rank them not by ROI, but you rate them just by projected score. Boom. So it looks as though to me, by projected score, this would be quote unquote the optimal. Now, when you say the FanDuel optimal lineup, I don't even know what you mean, because every GPP is different. Every GPP has different amount of entries. So what one lineup rates to be the most likely to be optimal, it really does depend on what contest you're in. So I'm not trying to be evasive or anything, but it's the terms are a little bit off here. But I mean, something like this is probably a good lineup. What I'm looking at. I mean, this is probably pretty good. This is on FanDuel, actually. So to answer your question here, I think they both might be. They both could show up in quote unquote the optimal lineup. And here's another idea if you want to kind of. Then I really got to get out. I really have to get out of here. One idea that you can have if you like all these Cleveland guys and you want to play them in GPPs, maybe you think it's going to be too chalky, is you play something like Garland and Jared Allen and Mobley or 2 of the 3, and you play Ty Jerome, whatever, and then you play someone from Memphis who doesn't really project all that great, or is just really expensive, or just is going to be really low owned, and somebody like John Morant, like he's 9,700 or whatever the hell he is over there. So it makes him a very, very fishy play. But if you're going to just play him alongside of these Cleveland guys, then you can essentially just root for overtime, because I don't care what these guys are projected for. If you get overtime, and what's that happen 5% of the time, then you have Morant. I mean, that's kind of the nuts. So you want to play him and or Bane, maybe, or Jackson, or if he's playing against, with 3 or 4 Cleveland guys. I think that's a pretty reasonable way to play. What else? Let's take a quick look at the FanDuel projections, which I just showed you the NBA ones. Let's look at the FanDuel ones. FanDuel rated by point per dollar. You look at Jared Butler, again, really, really a standout. And then the same dudes, Ty Jerome, Mobley, Jordan Goodwin slips in there, Garland, Castle, I mentioned before. Then you have Orlando Robinson, cheapo center, or if you wanted to pay up more, you could play Sengun or Zubac in the middle. It seems to be a very easy slate to play DFS, even though it's a big slate. You're probably not going to be too different, but it's a pretty good one to play. I don't really am getting too much to Joe Valif at all here, so I guess not. All right, that's all I have. 6 o'clock, we're going to go through more timely projections and more timely ownership projections as well. And you're going to see me go through this exact process and actually probably put these lineups in. Not these lineups, but the ones that I create then. Okay, that is going to do it. Welcome back. I'll see you guys later.